Introducing Marisha Robers, the dynamic force behind Gauteng property inspections and a top expert in property inspections across South Africa. With extensive experience in construction and inspections, Marisha is an invaluable ally in the property market. Marisha is not only an Abisa Master Certified Inspector, but also helped develop the curriculum to train other property inspectors. She's an ITC Certified Roof Inspector and Asbestos Inspector, and she stands out as the only female inspector in South Africa with these qualifications. Her services are a game changer for home buyers and property investors, saving them millions through meticulous pre-purchase inspections, post-building snag lists, and body corporate 10-year maintenance plans. To further empower property owners, she created the innovative online property homeowners maintenance program. Marisha's expertise has earned her high-profile jobs such as inspecting the Vietnamese embassy and ambassador's residence. Featured on numerous TV and radio shows and in magazines, she regularly speaks at major events, including sharing the stage with Robert Kiyosaki in Cape Town and Johannesburg. Marisha Robers isn't just an inspector, she's the trusted expert in property inspections, ensuring excellence and quality at every turn.
The property market has changed a lot over the last 30, 40 years. And we believe that the next thing that is going to be mandatory is a full property inspection before your property can be transferred. Now, 30, 40 years ago, you could add on a room to your house. You could sell it without any problems, without even doing building plans. A lot of people have added on rooms for student accommodation, for grandma and grandpa to live in, but nowadays the town council are starting to put the screws in. They want approved building plans. One of my clients bought a property, or wanted to buy a property recently in Cosmo City. Now this is a Google Earth shot of 1995 of the area she wanted to buy a property in, and this is 2022. Can you see how many structures have been added? So her finance was approved by the bank, but the bank said, we want approved building plans. Now this is what happened on the site. Originally, it was an RDP house. Then they added on a section with some rooms to rent out. And on the street side, this is what they added on. And we went through to the council and said, can we please submit these building plans? And they said, no ways. We are not approving these building plans. Now why is that? Because of the Splume Act. Now, Splume Act is not new, but the councils are now starting to implement it. The thing that in the Splume Act that municipalities were implementing here was that said municipalities should not issue rates clearance certificates unless there are approved building plans on file for all the structures on the property. Now, why do they want to implement that? Because they can then charge you more rates and taxes. So I always tell my clients, insist on approved building plans, because by the time you sell the property, council is going to implement it. And if you don't make your offer to purchase subject to approved building plans, and your bank says, we want building plans, then you will be liable to pay for the building plans. The next thing that changed in property transfers was the mandatory disclosure form. From the 1st of February 2022, every property had to have a mandatory disclosure form. Now the problem I have with that as a property inspector is that I find 98% of mandatory disclosure forms were completed wrong. So clients say there's no damp. I find damp. They say there's nothing wrong with the roof. I climb in the roof, I find broken trusses and things like that. So, with all due respect, the mandatory disclosure form is not helping buyers very much. The only place where it does help you is when you've bought the property and you see damp or you see roof leaks or anything, and I come in and I do an inspection, it's a very easy lawsuit, because the seller signed and said there's no damp, there's nothing of this. I come in and I take photographs and damp meter readings and I say there's damp, there's that, and that doesn't develop overnight. Now, at NABISA, which is the National Association of Building Inspectors of South Africa, we believe that the next thing that is going to happen is that mandatory property inspections is going to become a thing. In the USA, in the UK, a lot of countries, it is mandatory to have your property inspected. But now comes the trick. Who do you get to inspect your property? So NABISA represents members in government, municipality sectors and the private sector. And we have worked very hard in getting a qualification structured for building inspectors. But we are waiting for SAQA. We have waited for them since 2020 and they are just very slow. If anybody here is from SAQA, please come and talk to me and please help us to get this qualification approved. Are you from SAQA, sir? Not. Okay. So at NABISA, we register various building inspectors. First of all, you'll be registered as a building inspector if you work for local government and the NHBRC. Then we have home inspectors who do your normal property inspectors, and the compliance inspector who issue your COCs. Now, I'm also a certified roof inspector, so I issue the A19 certificates. Then we have project managers if they are registered with SACP, MCP, and we register candidate building inspectors. So if they've just done a building course or they want to be trained as a building inspector or they've just started working for the bank or an insurance company, we will register them as a candidate inspector. After they've done 30 inspections where they can send us the reports and we can talk to at least 10 clients who they've done inspections for, then we will consider to register them as a property or a building inspector or whatever. Now, what gives me the right to talk about building inspectors and what goes wrong in various buildings? I'm the owner of Sandton Property Inspections. I'm a Master Certified Inspector by NABISA, and I'm also an Executive Director. I'm an ITC Certified Roof Inspector as well as an Asbestos Inspector. I'm the only female property inspector in the country with those qualifications, and I'm the only property inspector in South Africa with those qualifications. I got a phone call from a client one morning in a panic saying, my house flooded last night. And I was a bit confused because I had given him a price to do a snag list inspection on his new property. And I said, but I haven't done your snag list inspection. And he said, yes, your price was a bit expensive for me. I got somebody to do it for 2,000 Rand. But I've just paid your money, your 6,800 Rand that you wanted to charge me. Please come and do the inspection urgently. I'm in trouble. So what does 2,000 versus 6,800 get you? This was the 2,000 Rand report. 5 pages, 6 photographs, and this inspector did not find anything in the house that wasn't done according to national building regulations, and he never asked for the approved plans. So he never noticed anything that wasn't done in accordance with the approved plans. So what did 6,800 Rand get him? Part 1 of my report, and I only took screenshots of the pages where there were things not done according to regulations and not done according to the approved building plans. In part 1 there were 8 pages. In part 2 there were another 5 pages. So my reports were 88 pages long with 3 to 4 photographs on a page. I found 13 items that were not done according to national building regulations and the approved plans. And I found the reason why his house flooded. Now, damp is my pet hate. It is the biggest problem in South African houses, and it is because the builders do not build according to national building regulations. I'm busy petitioning the NHBRC and the Department of Housing. I want the NHPRC to insist that builders must give clients not only a 5-year structural guarantee, but a 5-year rising damp guarantee. Then they will start building correctly. Now this damp is on a 2-year-old house, and I'm assisting this homeowners association of about 275 houses. We are going to do a class action lawsuit against the builder and the developer, and I want to close the builder and the developer down. I've also reported the plumber and the glazing guys to their relative bodies, and they must be deregistered. Let me show you some more things. So in this case, in the same development, the balustrades were illegal. They had openings which were bigger than 100 millimeters. Some staircases never even had balustrades. How the town council issued occupancy certificates, I fail to understand. The next problem were guest toilets. Now, if a guest toilet hasn't got a window, you can mechanically ventilate it. These didn't have mechanical ventilation or windows. Illegal. This is the biggest problem I'm finding currently. Plumbers use concertina pipes in toilets. It is not allowed. The law is very clear. You need a smooth connector pipe from the toilet. Why? Feces and toilet paper can get stuck there. And if the concertina pipe looks like this, guaranteed it's going to get stuck. And then when I climb in the roof and I find that they forgot to connect the outlet pipe to the geyser tray, no wonder the client has got a leak on the ceiling. This is things that I find on a daily basis. And then glass. All glass indoors must be safety glass, and it must be permanently marked as safety glass. All glass in bathroom windows must be safety glass, and it must be permanently marked. And no insulation installed in these houses. Therefore, the houses were not compliant with the energy efficiency regulations. And all of this was signed off and an occupancy certificate was issued. So, illegal. So when property inspections become mandatory, please ensure that you check the credentials of the inspectors that you are going to use. Would you prefer somebody who's been in the industry, who is certified and knows what she's doing? Or are you going to take a 2,000 Rand inspector and end up with a duck? And please ensure that whatever inspectors you employ are registered with NABISA. You are welcome to contact me and I will give you any guidance, or if you want to make sure whether your inspectors are registered with NABISA, please contact me. I think we have time for maybe one question.
Jason, thank you very much for the presentation.
Thanks.
In your opinion, what is the fastest way to close the loophole on the issuance of COCs? So we see a lot of the water, heating certificates.
Report them to the governing bodies. I have the guys at the Glazing Association answer. They are on first name basis. Phone me, Maresh, I'm doing this inspection. Maresh, I'm doing that. Report them to the governing bodies. Do not accept the COCs. Plumbing is the next guy. I've reported these plumbers. Report them to the governing bodies. Don't take it lying down.
I just wanted to ask, you mentioned something about student accommodation, and it's an industry that's growing. And I've been in this sector for quite some time. And have you approached NSFAS or universities to do those inspections in the properties that they approve? Because I don't think they're as thorough as you, and we might, but that's the question.
Okay, I haven't approached them, and that's a good idea, thank you. I do a lot of inspections for property investors before they buy property, especially student accommodation. And the biggest issue with student accommodation is they take a house, they divide it into 1 million rooms, and then a lounge gets divided into 4 rooms, and 2 of the rooms don't have windows, don't have natural ventilation, illegal. So all of those things, yes, good idea, I will do it, but please, before you buy student accommodation, get me to do an inspection for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. Okay.